Hello humans! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yelly or Yellbell Beauty here on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Happy to be back here with all of you today. I have shared on Instagram with a lot of you that I got a new camera for the holidays from my amazing fiance, and I'm really happy that I'm able to film on it. I just got my new mic. It's right over here, so let me know what you think of how the quality of the video is, how the quality of the audio is. I'm still learning how to use all of it, so I'm happy to make tweaks. Today in particular, I want to talk about Project Pan for 2024 because today is actually 12/19/23. We are like a week away from the new year. It's crazy how fast 2023 has gone. So why don't we just get into it? The first product I'm going to talk about should not surprise many of you, but it is the Haus Labs powder. I cannot wait to finish this. I don't like it. I've said in many videos, I've said on Instagram, there are many things about this powder that I don't like. It looks fine on the rest of my face. I think it does make me look a little pale, which is interesting because I got the translucent color, but it makes my under eyes look extremely dry and cakey, and it settles into my fine lines. It's interesting. I've even tried on one day, I put the same concealer under both my eyes, my Make Beauty Skin Mimetic concealer. And then I only powdered one eye, and on this eye, nothing happened. It was just the concealer, and then on the eye with the powder, everything settled into my fine lines. So I'm a little confused on how this powder does like the opposite effect of what I'm looking for. One of the other things that I hated about this powder was the packaging. It actually had one of those nets in the top. And now it's getting everywhere. I took the net out because you can't reach the product. It's crazy. I definitely think that I can finish this in early 2024. There's not a lot. I did mark on the back of it right here that you could see, but it's not really like a straight line. It's kind of like a jagged line. Another thing interesting about this powder is how it clumps together. I'll insert a photo here. Like I'll take a picture and show you, obviously, because it's gonna fly everywhere if I try to show you. But this powder like has like little tiny clumps in it all the time. I don't know what ingredient it is that does that, but I kind of have to like break them up. Maybe I got a bad one or something. I am just shocked that so many YouTubers this year have completely raved about this powder, and I find zero redeeming qualities about it. It's not a good powder. So I want to finish it. That is that. So I actually finished, I think, 2 or 3 blushes in 2023, but this year I want to focus on panning my Tarte Fairy Flush blush. You can see that the pan is quite large in here. Sorry if the metallic packaging is not really helping, but I really think that I could finish this year. If I pop out the pan, you could actually see how thin it is. I think this packaging is incredibly deceiving. Like, look at that. Look how thin that is. So there really isn't a ton of product left in here. I think this might be one of the oldest, if not the oldest blush in my collection right now. Before it was my Benefit Gold Rush, I had finished that. So this one in particular, I think will be next. This one is just like a good everyday blush for me. It's a light flush of pink on the cheeks. I definitely think I could finish this in 2024. Another blush product that I think I could finish this year, this is Cottage Life. It's from the ColourPop Limoncello collection. It used to have kind of graphics on the side here, but they've all wiped off. That's like, you know, obviously you get what you pay for with ColourPop, right? But I think that I can finish this. This is all that is left. Let me get another blush stick for comparison for you so you could see the difference here. So this one is Picnic Time. It's from the same collection. And it's a pretty bright coral, so I don't use it that often, but look at the difference in that. I think I could finish this year. So this is definitely a very good everyday blush. It's just like a warm terracotta blush. It looks very nice on the cheeks, and I would like to finish it up before it goes bad because it is a cream product. Bronzers. While this is Salt New York packaging, this has nothing Salt New York in it because this actually this is a bronzer and a highlighter. So you can see here, these 3 are from the Midas Cosmetics and Neon MUA Noon palette. No longer exists. Midas Cosmetics has actually rebranded since then. They closed and they opened and rebranded. This palette is no longer available. It had a blush in it. The blush was not for me. It was overly glowy. It was like hot pink. That's why I depotted these. I gave the blush to somebody. It was the one thing in this palette that I never even touched. Like, I think I used it once or twice. It was just not for me. It was not for my complexion. But this bronzer, this contour, and this highlight are amazing. This shadow right here is actually from the James Charles palette. I use this to like add shading to things, or if I'm making fake freckles in the summer, this is good because it's the color of some of my more natural freckles and beauty marks, but it's just in here because I have nowhere else to put it. But I do think that I can finish up at least the bronzer and contour this year. The highlighter has a pan, but the highlighter is, as you could see from the texture, a little bit more like a Super Shock cheek. It's squishy and it moves around. So it's kind of like when you hit pan in anything Super Shock, you know it's really because that the product is kind of like shoving itself over to the sides. It's not necessarily that you've used a lot of the product. I would like to get more use out of this highlighter. It's just a very pretty like champagne, but I find myself reaching for other champagne highlighters more often just because they're in my sight, like they're in my view. I do wonder about getting compacts for these, or at least for the highlighter. I do reach for these, like this bronzer and this contour, very often. I do think that this is something that I can finish. These pans are pretty shallow, and there are parts in the bronzer and in the contour where you could see that pan is showing through on the sides, which means that I'm going to be hitting pan in other areas soon. Another bronzer. This is the oldest bronzer in my collection, the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronze. Both my bronzers are discontinued, huh? Well, actually, now I have 3. I recently got an Hourglass palette, so I guess that you know, there's a bronzer in there. It's my 3rd bronzer. But this one used to be my everyday bronzer. I switched between the -1 and this one right now. Hitting pan in this was incredibly easy because this is quite thin. You could actually see how thin it is. But the thing is, it's so much surface area, right? So I kind of have been trying to swirl a brush around the edges to maybe bring that down a little bit more than to just focus here in the middle, because then what's going to happen is I'm going to have only the edges left and then I'm going to have to repress them, which I hate doing. So I have kind of just been trying to go around the edges, and I do think that I see a lot of thinning right here in particular. So you can see if I go to the side here, you can see that there's much more product on this area right here than there is down here. So I don't know if this is something I can finish this year. If I am going to finish a bronzer, I think I could finish the Midas bronzer because there's much less product, but I would like to see an expanded pan all the way up to the top here. This is where I keep all of my Salt New York and my 1/2 Magic Blush. So I do have pan in these 3 of Salt New York, but the one in particular that I will finish in 2024 is Rose. The reason that this looks like this is because I recently repressed this. It was just all over the edges of the pan, so I tried to repress it all towards the middle, but then once I put my sponge in there, it like automatically kind of dispersed everything again. I think that I can finish this. I think that if I wore this every day for like 2 weeks, I could finish this. I just don't want to wear pink blush every day for 2 weeks. So I do think that I have to pull this out and use it a little bit more. Again, this is a product I want to finish up before it goes bad. It is a cream blush, but I do think that I can finish this fairly soon. Now, for the other 2 that I have pans in, I don't think that there's like a lot of hope to finish them, but the pans could get bigger. But this one in particular, the big goal this year is to finish it. Haha, this is from another time. Obviously, I do not support Jeffree Star, but this is like the one Jeffree Star item I have left. So this is still pretty good. I will use this on regular days. I do have a pan right here in Goldbreaker. I feel that I'm very close to a pan in Frozen Fruit. I could see it right here. I could see that there is going to be a pan. This one right here, what was this one called? Statuesque, was actually like a deep bronze. It was not possible for me to use as a highlight. And then when I was moving, I dropped this palette and that one completely shattered. And I was like, who cares? I wasn't going to use it anyway. So I just dumped it out in the end, but it could have been used as an eyeshadow. I do find that I don't reach for this as often just because when I'm doing makeup for Instagram, I don't reach for this because I want to be able to use things that I want all of you to, you know, go out and purchase and support. But this is a nice highlighter palette and I do have it, and it was expensive. This is the oldest highlighter palette in my collection right now, and I do think that I could hit pan and Frozen Fruit in 2024. So I want to be able to make sure that I'm getting use out of this, or then I should declutter it and give it to somebody who will use it. So let's see what we could do this year. As far as lip products go, some of you actually saw last night on Instagram I had decluttered a lot of lip products because they were going bad. So PSA, declutter your lip products. Smell them. Make sure they don't smell like nail polish. Some of mine sure did. But first, I'm going to talk about the ColourPop Just a Tint Lip Crayon in Cherry Pickin'. I think that I could finish this. I'm wearing this right now. I think that this is a great color. You know, it's a ColourPop item. I'm not going to say like, you must go out and buy this $5 lip crayon. It's the best thing ever. It's a lip crayon. Like, it is what it is. It still has that like artificial cherry scent that this one has. I don't know if all of them have that. I actually don't have any other lip crayons from ColourPop. I like it. It's a good formula, but I would like to finish it up. I do think that I could also finish this up by using it as a blush. I have used it as a blush before. It looks pretty good. It stays pretty well. So I think that this is a product that I can multi-use to finish it up this year. And if I don't finish this up this year, then I think it's going to have to go because it's been, way too long. But I am optimistic. We will do this, everybody. This is the Oma Badass Icon Matte. What are these? Badass Matte Icon lipsticks. The name is really long. I think they still make these. They come in a variety of nudes and I have the shade Miriam. This is the oldest lipstick in my collection. Out of liquids, out of bullets, out of everything. There's a good amount left, but this is an everyday color for me. It's just kind of like a deeper kind of plummy nude. If I just, go into the office sometimes and I'll just do a winged eyeliner, this is the lipstick I often reach for. So I think I can finish this year as well. I think I have more of a case to finish this than I actually even do than that ColourPop one because I reach for this for my lips much more often. It's a great lipstick. I just feel that, it's going to reach its time soon and I want to make sure that I'm getting the use out of it that I can. One more, this is just like a give me product. I think I mentioned this in my last video, but my original review of the Lawless Forget the Filler gloss was not very favorable. I said that I just thought it was a clear gloss and you could like buy it from ColourPop and yada yada yada. I take it back. I have used this so much. I take it back. I actually bought this in more colors. I'm a hypocrite, so I want you all to know that I changed my mind on my review. But this one, if I take out the stopper, you'll see, has almost nothing left in it. So I think I can finish this in like a few more uses. This is a lip gloss that I use all the time. So this is in the shade Rosy Outlook and it says it's a light pink, but it's clear. So I just kind of put it over any lipstick. Like if I'm wearing that Oma one, this one goes on top. So this is kind of a gimme product. Like I think I'm going to be able to finish it so quickly without even trying because I reach for this so often. And then I'm going to feel so great that I finished something. Let's get into palettes. So this is currently the oldest palette in my collection. This is the Huda Beauty New Nude. I have quite a few pans in here. Obviously, I don't think that I'm going to hit pan in every single shade in this palette this year, but there are ones that I want to focus on. So I think I'm pretty close to hitting pan in Secret right here. So I would like to hit pan on that one in particular. I think that that's going to be my goal for Q1 of 2024, to hit pan in Secret. I have had this palette for years and years. I've had this since I was like, I think in my third year of college, which was a long time ago now. How many years ago was that? My third year of college, I would have been like, 21? And I'm about to turn 28. So like, this is a 7-year-old eyeshadow palette. It is still performing like the day that I got it. I will give Huda a lot of credit for this. Her formula has held up. There are 2 glitters in this palette. Never used them, never will. Not a a glitter I'm gonna reach for. They're just like these very fine pressed glitters. The shimmers in here are really nice. I'm really surprised that I haven't hit pan in Fantasy, but it does have quite a dip there that you can see. So maybe that'll be like a surprise pan this year, but I would like to hit pan in Secret. I feel like I can't talk about one of these without talking about the other. Look how disgusting the packaging on these looks. I will wipe them with whatever I can and they just don't come off. I'm pretty sure this one in particular, this is mascara or something. That's like what happens with these velvety packages, you know, they just can't get clean. It's like a nice, you know, idea. But these are my last two remaining Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes from the before time when I liked Anastasia Beverly Hills. Anyway, this one is the original Norvina, and I have pan in a lot of shades here. So we have pan here, here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pans. I would like to this year hit pan in this shade right here, Passion. I have used this as an eyeliner with some Duraline, so I think it's doable. That's how I hit pan in this shade right here. You can see it kind of looks a little like odd, but that's because I've been using it only as an eyeliner. I didn't particularly think it was a perfect shade for me to use. Shades in here I am never going to hit pan on. The purple. So this is Soul, and then what is this one? Celestial. I hate them. I hate them so much. There was a whole conversation on the panning Reddit about how whenever somebody does a whole pan this palette on this, those are the only two shades that they have left, because I think universally people agree that they are not good purples. This looks very like an ashy gray on the eye. It's just not something that I reach for, and it doesn't even match this purple, which is what I would call like a grape. And if I'm going to reach for purple, I'm not going to reach for a grape. So I think that I have the possibility of panning every shade in this palette besides those two, because I only have 2 mattes and 1 shimmer left to pan if I discount those purples. So I think that that is totally doable in 2024. Soft Glam, I think, has the same amount of pans as the Norvina palette, but I do have a true pan here. I completely panned Tampera. I think that I could probably completely pan the similar shade in here. I think it's called like Base or something. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pans. My next shade that I would like to pan is actually Fairy, this shimmer right here. It's a good inner corner. I usually use it in conjunction with this shade right here on top of it. What is this one? Glistening. So I'm surprised that I hit pan in Glistening and not in Fairy, but that was interesting to me. I do think that I could maybe also hit pan in Sultry. There is a pretty big dip in there. Let's see if you could see that. Yeah. Bronze has a pretty big dip too. It's just the reality of the fact that if I'm reaching for this palette, I'm usually reaching for the mattes, because that's where I think Anastasia, at least back in the day, really used to shine. Her shimmers are like, they leave something to be desired. But if I use a shimmer from here, what I'll do is I'll top it with something like the Fenty Diamond Bomb and like, you know, jazz it up a little bit. But I do think that the shimmers in this palette are better than the shimmers in this palette, which I think is an uncommon opinion to have. This, I believe, is discontinued. This is the Lunar Beauty Greek Goddess palette. This is the first palette I ever got from Lunar Beauty. And I do have one pan in it right here in Hestia. I think that I'm really close to hitting pan in Clio. You could see the dip in it. I think that I can hit pan in this year. I am so confused that I still haven't hit pan in Iris. I will often take out this palette just to use Iris. I think it's one of my favorite shimmers ever. But I think that it might be because I'm using a light hand, because I'm concerned I'm going to run out of it and this palette doesn't exist anymore. But I'm being silly because think of all of the singles that I have to have something that is comparable to Iris, if not exactly the same. And if I don't, then I could buy a single like that. So I want to get more use out of this palette this year. So I think that I could hit pan in Iris and Clio. Now, when it comes to singles, I don't have a particular project pan in mind where I want to finish up a specific single or hit a pan in singles, but I do have some singles that already have pan in them and I want to highlight them here, so let me grab those for you. First, we have the Monarch from Looksy. I have a pretty deep pan in here, and you can see that most of the product is kind of at the bottom there. This is one of my favorite one and done eyeshadows. I don't know if they make this anymore, but if they do, this is like a $4 eyeshadow. It's amazing. I don't know why more people don't have this. I don't know if there's anything particularly special about it. It's kind of just like a bronze, but it looks so beautiful on the eye. And this is just, you know, a shade that I naturally hit pan in from all the use. So that's pretty cool. This one was really surprising to me. This is Dragon's Breath from Pretties for Your Face. This is so new to me. Like when I bought this shadow, I also bought this shade right here. I think it's called Water Nymph. And I haven't even touched this one yet. I don't understand how this happened. I did put it in maybe like 2 or 3 BYOPs, so I swatched it, and I've worn it on my eye like 3 or 4 times. But I just think that this shows that maybe this pan wasn't particularly like filled all the way or something, because that's like impossible. There's no way I've used this enough to make a pan this big in this eyeshadow. It just like doesn't make any sense to me. When I hit pan in it, I was putting it on my eye and I was like, how? I just got this. I don't get it. Now, there is still a lot of product left in here, so I'm not gonna like complain or something that I didn't get enough eyeshadow, but for comparison's sake, I'll pull up another Pretties for Your Face eyeshadow just to show you how full the pans usually are in comparison. So this is the shade Asteroid, and you could see that the pan itself, I don't know if I could like show you. I'm gonna have to do like a close-up or something, but the shade Asteroid in particular, I've used this probably just as much, if not more, than this shade right here, and I've never hit pan in it, and there's still product at the top because there was that idea of like a concave. It was like overly full pretty much. So there must be something to the fact that this pan wasn't as full to begin with as something like Asteroid was. So I'll take a picture of the two of them next to each other so you can see the product difference. That was just very interesting to me that I hit pan on that. I'm like not like super excited, but I'm not like super mad about it. I'm just more so confused. I'm not at all confused about this one. This is Mother Pucker from Mon Professional. If you don't know Mon Professional, Sarah, her handle on Instagram is Mon Professional. She hand makes eyeshadows. This is like my favorite orange eyeshadow of all time. I wear this all the time. I wear it as an inner corner. I wear it all over my lid. I put it in BYOPs. It is not at all shocking that I hit pan in this after about a year and a half of owning it, because it's the first orange that I reach for when I think of orange anything. Wear it in conjunction with palettes, other mattes, etc. And the pan in here is getting pretty big. So that's kind of exciting and really cool to see some use from a single like that. This is Midnight Sun from Divina. It's one of those black to red kind of duochromes. It's very reminiscent of like Blood Moon from Terra Moons, for example, if you have that. I had pan in this year. I will say that, and I did talk to Divina about this in particular, I will say that there was, when I started to hit the pan, like some liquid came out. It was very interesting. I was worried the shadow was going bad. I reached out to Divina and they had assured me that there was actually an issue when pressing the Midnight Sun shadows from the order that I had placed over a year ago, and she had thought that she had gotten rid of all of them and they didn't make it out, but apparently mine did, so it just had some like unpressed oils in there. It's still performing fine, and now there's a little pan in it after, you know, I wiped away that oil that was seeping there, so it's kind of a cheat, but she did offer to, you know, send me a new one. I thought that was a little silly though, because it still performs fine and it doesn't like smell rancid or anything like that. So I do want to kind of shout out Divina customer service. And actually, since the last time I shot a video, I now have a code with Divina. So you could use code YellBelleBeauty to get money off of your Divina order. That is not affiliated. It is just for you to save money. This is another Looksy one. I actually had that other Looksy one out because it was in a BYOP, but this is the shade Gingerbread. This is from Christmas 2018, 2019. Again, these are pretty old. This is another one of those $3 shadows. This is a duochrome of a pink to blue. It's really beautiful. It's textured. I feel that I haven't reached for this as much lately. This used to be a favorite, which is why it's actually been, you know, one of the longest running pans in any single that I have. I think this might have been the first single I ever hit pan in, but I do want to get some more use out of this year. I think it would be really cool, but again, I don't know if they have this shade anymore. I'll try and figure out if they do, and I'm going to try and link all these down below, but really nice shade. Last but not least, we have some Terra Moons. So this right here is Jupiter's Inferno. This is kind of like Blood Moon, but backwards. Instead of a black base with a red tint, this is a red-based shadow with a black tint. This is really unique, really beautiful, and I love it, and it's not surprising that I hit pan in it. Now, I will say, as of last week, Terra Moons announced that this shade is being discontinued. I don't understand why. This is a really beautiful shade. It might be because one of their newer shades, Ruby Satellite, is kind of similar. I actually don't have it, but from swatches, that's what it looked like. They're also taking away a few other shades that I have, like Crimson Eclipse was on that list. I'm trying to like scan my shadows right here. Astral they're getting rid of, which I also love and have a huge dip in. So like, I'm just really shocked at some of the ones that they're discontinuing, but it might be because that they have similar ones coming out. So my last pan is in Proxima, which is the only what I would call a hot orange. And this is more of a flaky shadow, so I think it was easier to hit pan in because more will come off on your finger when you just dip it in here. This is really beautiful all over the lid, but I think the big reason that I hit pan in this is because any time that I need a bright orange for a BYOP, I have to reach for this. I do not have another shadow like this. All right, so that wraps up my 2024 Project Pan. I'm going to hopefully do some check-ins, maybe by season, like a winter check-in, a spring check-in, a summer check-in, a fall check-in. But let me know what more Project Pan content you want to see below. I want to thank you all for being here with me today and for dealing with my hiatus while I had all of my technical issues. I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are. Have a happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay weird. Bye!